You may think the reason you feel heavier, slower, or more tired after 50 is simply age, but age is only part of the story. The rest is often a collection of tiny routines that have been repeated for years without being questioned. A breakfast eaten standing up, a day with almost no walk in, a heavy dinner followed by television and an unwanted snack. None of these choices looks dramatic. That is why they are powerful. In many Japanese homes and neighborhoods, health is not treated as one heroic event. It is built into the shape of the day. Smaller portions, more natural movement, clearer boundaries between activity and rest, and routines that are easy enough to repeat when motivation is low. Japan is not perfect, and these habits are not universal. The useful lesson is that some Japanese systems reduce the number of moments when willpower is needed. We are going to look at 8 simple habits that may support a steadier weight, better mobility, and more reliable energy after 50. Number 4 is the one many people resist because it feels almost too small to matter. And the final habit ties everything together into a system you can actually maintain. After the 8th habit, I will give you a 7-day Japanese inspired reset that requires no gym membership, no special supplement, and no extreme diet. This is the Japanese reset, where we explore small Japanese ideas that can make everyday life calmer, cleaner, and more intentional. Before we begin, one important idea: after 50, the goal should not be punishment, it should be preservation. Preserve muscle, preserve balance, preserve sleep, preserve the ability to move through your own life without everything feeling like an effort. A body cared for consistently often responds better than one attacked occasionally. Number 1, stop eating at full and start stopping it comfortable. The modern eating pattern encourages you to keep going until the plate is empty or the package is finished. Many people were raised to believe leaving food behind is wasteful, and large plates quietly suggest how much food belongs on them. Be honest, you know the moment. You are no longer hungry, but there are 4 more bites. So you finish them. Then dessert appears, not because your body needs more energy, but because your mind has not received a clear signal that the meal is over. The hidden problem is not one enormous meal. It is a small surplus repeated day after day. In Japanese food culture, especially in traditional settings, meals are often divided among several smaller dishes rather than piled into one large portion. This does not automatically make a meal healthy, and modern Japanese eating has its own challenges, but the structure can encourage awareness. You see the rice, soup, vegetables, and protein as separate parts. The meal has shape. It does not look like one endless mound of food. A related idea often associated with Okinawan culture is stopping before you feel completely stuffed. The useful principle is simple: fullness is delayed information. Your stomach and brain do not communicate instantly. If you eat quickly, you can pass the point of comfort before the signal arrives. You do not need to count every calorie or buy smaller designer plates. Start with a pause. Serve your normal meal but leave a small empty border around the plate. Sit down. Eat without holding your phone. Halfway through, put your fork or chopsticks down and take 3 slow breaths. Then ask one question: am I still hungry, or am I only continuing? Do not aim to stop while hungry. That will usually lead to grazing later. Stop when you feel satisfied but still physically light enough to take a walk. After 50, a very heavy meal can erase the evening. You become sluggish, sit down, and lose time that could have been used for movement or a calmer bedtime. The shift is not from pleasure to restriction, it is from stuffed to satisfied. And once you reduce the volume of food, the next question becomes more important: what should remain on the plate? Number 2, build meals around balance before you build them around cravings. A common modern meal begins with the most convenient food available: toast, cereal, a sandwich, pasta, crackers, something beige, quick, and easy to chew. Then, if you remember, you add something nutritious beside it. People assume this works because the meal removes hunger, but removing hunger is not the same as creating stable energy. For some people, meals dominated by refined carbohydrates can lead to a quick rise and fall in blood sugar, followed by sleepiness or cravings. Protein, fiber, and some healthy fat tend to make a meal more sustaining. A common Japanese approach is to create contrast within the meal: a modest portion of rice or noodles, a source of protein, vegetables, soup, pickled or fermented foods in small amounts, and different textures. Traditional meals are not always low in sodium, and no cuisine should be treated as medically perfect. But the pattern of variety can slow down eating and make a smaller meal feel complete. Here is what most people never notice. Satisfaction is not only about quantity, it is also about contrast. Different textures, temperatures, and flavors can make a moderate meal feel complete. You can adapt this without cooking a Japanese meal. At breakfast, add eggs, plain yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, or another protein you tolerate. At lunch, make half the plate vegetables, then add protein and a sensible portion of starch. At dinner, begin with vegetables or soup, rather than arriving at the main dish extremely hungry. You do not need to remove rice, bread, or potatoes. That usually makes the plan harder to sustain. You need to stop letting them occupy the entire meal. Try this simple plate question. Where is the protein, where is the fiber, and where is the pleasure? A good meal should contain all three. Protein matters more with age because muscle supports strength, balance, and daily function. You do not need bodybuilding portions or expensive powders. You need a meaningful source at each main meal, adapted to your health needs. If a medical condition affects your diet, adapt this with guidance from a qualified clinician. The realistic benefit is not instant weight loss. It is fewer energy crashes, better meal satisfaction, and less accidental snacking. But food is only one side of the equation. The next Japanese habit changes what happens after the meal, and it may be more effective than waiting for motivation to exercise later. Number 3. Walk before your mind turns movement into a debate. In many Western routines, movement is treated as a separate appointment. You drive to work, sit for hours, drive home, and then ask yourself at 6 in the evening whether you have enough energy to exercise. Usually the answer is no. This is not always laziness, it is poor design. A natural need has become one more decision at the most tired point of the day. In Japanese cities, daily life often includes more incidental walking because of public transportation, compact neighborhoods, stairs, local shopping, and walking between stations and destinations. This varies by region, age, occupation, and ability. Rural life can be very different. Still, the system reveals something useful. Movement is easier to maintain when it is attached to a purpose. The Japanese word sampo simply refers to a walk or stroll. The important part is the mood. Not every walk has to be a workout. It can be a small transition between parts of the day. After a meal, even a short, comfortable walk may support digestion, mobility, and better blood sugar management for some people. It also interrupts the automatic sequence of eating, sitting, and continuing to snack. Try this. After one meal each day, walk for 10 minutes, not 45, 10. Walk around the block, through a shopping center, down your hallway, or in place beside the kitchen counter if the weather or your balance makes outdoor walking difficult. The goal is not speed. The goal is to make movement the natural ending of the meal. You can also make one daily destination slightly more active. Park farther from the entrance, take one flight of stairs, or walk while making a phone call. These actions look unimpressive, but the body responds to repetition, not to what looks impressive. After 50, consistency matters more than intensity you cannot recover from. If movement causes chest pain, dizziness, or severe shortness of breath, stop and seek medical guidance. Intelligent adaptation matters more than intensity. The shift is simple. Do not wait until you feel like exercising. Attach movement to something that already happens. We have now handled food quantity, meal quality, and walking. But this is only the visible part. The next habit deals with something adults often lose quietly: range of motion. Number 4. Move every joint a little, every day. This is the habit many people resist because it does not feel like real exercise. A few shoulder circles, gentle ankle movement, standing up and sitting down several times, reaching overhead, turning the torso carefully. It seems too easy, so people skip it and wait for a proper workout that never happens. Here is the overlooked mechanism. Stiffness creates avoidance. When getting up from the floor feels difficult, you stop going to the floor. When stairs feel unstable, you choose the elevator. When your hips feel tight, you shorten your stride. Over time, the body receives less practice doing exactly the movements you want to preserve. In Japan, a familiar example of simple group movement is Rahyotaiso or radio calisthenics. These short routines use basic whole body motions and have appeared in schools, workplaces, parks, and community settings. Not everyone does them, and they are not a miracle workout. Their value is that they make movement ordinary, brief, and repeatable. The principle behind this practice is not athletic performance, it is daily maintenance. Mobility works like basic maintenance. You do a small amount regularly because neglect has consequences.
Create a 5-minute morning sequence.
Stand beside a sturdy chair or kitchen counter. Roll your shoulders slowly. Turn your head gently from side to side without forcing the neck. Reach one arm overhead, then the other. Lift each knee only as high as feels safe. Circle your ankles while holding support. Finish with 5 slow sit to stands from a stable chair. If 5 is too many, do 2. If standing is difficult, perform upper body movements seated. With major joint, balance, or bone concerns, ask a clinician which movements are safe. The goal is not exhaustion, the goal is to remind the body of its available options.
You can also use a movement snack during the day. Every time the kettle boils, rise onto your toes 5 times while holding the counter. Every time a television episode ends, stand and walk through the room. Every time you use the bathroom, straighten your posture before returning to the chair.
Small movement keeps stiffness from becoming the default setting. There is an emotional benefit too. Gentle movement gives you evidence that you are still participating in your physical life, even if exercise has been shaped by shame, injury, or failure. The difference looks small, but it is not. A workout asks, how much can you do today? Daily mobility asks, what do you want to keep doing 10 years from now? Now we reach a habit that often adds hundreds of unnecessary calories without ever feeling like a real meal. Number 5. Stop drinking and grazing your way through the day. Many adults do not overeat at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. The excess arrives between them. A sweet coffee, a few biscuits, chips while cooking, juice, wine, then something small before bed. None of these moments feel serious. That is why they escape attention. Liquid calories in automatic snacks are easy to miss. You remember dinner but barely register the drink finished in the car. In many Japanese settings, unsweetened tea is a normal everyday beverage. Water and tea do not need to perform as dessert. Again, modern Japan has vending machines, sweet drinks, convenience foods, and snack culture like anywhere else. The useful contrast is not purity, it is default choice. Your default choice shapes your body more than your occasional treat.
Try a 7-day beverage reset. Make water, sparkling water, plain coffee, or unsweetened tea your normal drink. Keep sweet drinks as a deliberate choice, not a background habit. If you use alcohol, pay attention to frequency and portion, especially because alcohol can affect sleep, appetite, balance, and medication. Some people should avoid it entirely.
Then create a visible snack rule. Never eat directly from the package. If you want nuts, place a portion in a small bowl. If you want chocolate, put a piece on a plate and sit down. If you want chips, decide the amount before the first bite. This creates a beginning and an ending. Japanese culture often places importance on presentation, even in ordinary food. A small portion arranged clearly can feel more intentional than a large amount eaten invisibly from a bag. The psychological mechanism is simple. When food is seen, chosen, and plated, your mind records the act. When it is grabbed repeatedly while standing, the eating remains mentally unfinished. Be honest. Sometimes you are bored, tense, lonely, or delaying a task. Before an unplanned snack, wait 10 minutes and ask, what am I actually asking for? If it is food, eat something satisfying. If it is rest or connection, address that need directly. The realistic benefit is not perfection, it is making invisible intake visible. We have talked about what goes into the body and how the body moves. The next 2 habits deal with the machinery that controls both appetite and energy, your daily rhythm. Number 6, get morning light before morning noise. Many people wake up and immediately enter a digital room. The curtains are closed, the phone is bright, messages, headlines, and problems arrive before the body has fully understood that the day has begun. Then they wonder why the morning feels heavy. Your body uses light as one of the main signals for its internal clock, often called the circadian rhythm. This clock helps coordinate sleep, alertness, appetite, and many other processes across the day. Morning light does not solve every sleep problem, but regular exposure to daylight can help reinforce a clearer day-night pattern. A Japanese morning may include opening shutters, airing the home, stepping outside, or walking to a station. The environmental lesson is useful. Let the body meet the day before the mind meets the internet. Tomorrow morning, open the curtains first. Drink water if that suits your medical needs, and step onto a balcony, porch, garden, or sidewalk for a few minutes. If you cannot go outside, sit near a bright window, move gently, and look into the distance rather than at a small screen. Then decide when the phone enters the morning. Even a 10-minute delay can change the emotional order of the day. Instead of waking into reaction, you wake into orientation. Irregular sleep can influence hunger, cravings, and fatigue. A clearer rhythm may help your body feel alert and tired at more appropriate times. Think in terms of rhythm, a similar wake time, first light, and first movement. If you work nights, have bipolar disorder, severe insomnia, eye conditions affected by light, or another medical issue, personalized advice may be important. General routines are not a substitute for care. The shift is not become a morning person. The shift is give your body a clear signal. And once the day has a clear beginning, it also needs a clear ending. Number 7, use warmth to end the day, not stimulation.
A tired person does not always know how to rest. You finish dinner, begin scrolling, and go directly from stimulation to bed, expecting sleep to happen on command.
In Japanese bathing culture, the furrow is traditionally more than a quick wash. The body is usually cleaned before entering the bath, and soaking is associated with warming, unwinding, and marking the transition toward rest. Home layouts, bathing customs, and personal routines vary widely, but the larger principle is valuable. Rest begins before bed. A warm bath or shower may support sleep for some people. The effect is not mystical. The gradual cooling afterward can become a cue that activity is ending. You do not need a Japanese bathroom. Create a 20-minute landing sequence. Lower the lights. Put the phone on charge outside arm's reach. Take a warm shower or bath, not so hot that you feel dizzy or drained. Put on comfortable clothes. Prepare tomorrow's water, medication, or breakfast items. Then sit for 2 quiet minutes without trying to solve your life. This is where the Japanese idea of ma becomes useful. Ma means intentional space or pause. It is the empty interval that allows one thing to end before another begins. Most people do not have a sleep routine. They have a collapse routine, consuming stimulation until the body loses the argument. Sleep after 50 can be affected by pain, hormones, medication, sleep apnea, and stress. A bath will not fix those problems. Persistent insomnia, gasping during sleep, or severe daytime fatigue deserves medical attention, but the transition into bed can still be improved. Choose one nightly signal that says the day is closing. A warm shower, gentle stretching, caffeine-free tea, or a calm book, repeated for 1 week. Better sleep may support more stable appetite, better mood, and more willingness to move the next day. That is why evening energy and morning energy are not separate problems. They are the same cycle viewed from opposite ends. The final habit is the simplest, but it may reveal the most, because none of the previous 7 will matter if you treat them as a temporary project. Number 8. Make improvement too small to fail. The usual health plan begins with disgust. You look in the mirror and decide everything must change on Monday. No sugar, no bread, 10,000 steps, perfect meals, and a new identity by the end of the week. For 3 days, the plan feels powerful. Then normal life returns, a bad night, family obligations, joint pain, rain, travel, stress. One missed workout becomes proof that the entire plan has failed. A Japanese concept that fits this problem is Kaizen, meaning continuous improvement through small steps. The idea became widely associated with workplace improvement, but the principle can be used personally. Do not ask how to redesign your whole life. Ask how to make the next repetition slightly better. The body after 50 usually benefits from consistency more than drama. Choose a minimum version of each habit. Your minimum walk might be 5 minutes. Your minimum mobility routine might be 3 sit-to-stands and 10 shoulder circles. Your minimum balanced meal might be adding 1 vegetable and 1 protein. Your minimum evening reset might be placing the phone across the room. The minimum should feel almost embarrassingly easy. That is not weakness. It is strategy. When energy is high, you can do more. When energy is low, you protect the chain. Confidence is not built by making promises. It is built by collecting evidence that you keep them. Each tiny habit becomes evidence that you are someone who walks, prepares food with care, protects sleep, and does not abandon the body because the day became difficult. You are not punishing an older body into becoming younger. You are helping your current body function better. Use a paper calendar and track behaviors rather than obsessing over daily weight. Mark the days you walk, move, and complete the evening sequence. The symbols do not matter, the visible proof does. At the end of the week, do not ask, was I perfect? Ask, which habit happened with the least resistance, and which one needs a better environment. If the walk fails because your shoes are hidden, put them by the door. If snacking continues because packages sit on the counter, move them out of sight and place water or fruit where your hand naturally goes. This is where the Japanese approach becomes especially useful. The system does not demand that you become stronger than your environment, it asks you to arrange the environment so the better action becomes easier. The shift is not from lazy to disciplined, it is from vague intention to visible design. Now let us turn all 8 habits into one simple 7-day reset. For the next week, use 3 anchors: food, movement, and recovery. For food, build one daily meal around protein, fiber, and a comfortable stopping point. Sit down, remove the phone, and pause halfway through. For movement, take one 10-minute walk after a meal or use a safe indoor alternative. When 10 minutes feels impossible, do 5. Protect the identity even when you reduce the dose. For recovery, begin a 20-minute landing sequence. Lower the lights, move the phone away, and use warmth or gentle stretching before sleep. Add the 5-minute morning mobility routine at least 3 times during the week. Open the curtains before checking messages, choose water or unsweetened tea by default, and plate every snack. That is enough. Do not add a strict diet. Do not buy equipment. Do not weigh yourself morning and night. Do not turn the reset into another performance. On the 7th evening, sit down with a piece of paper and answer 3 questions. Which habit gave me the most noticeable energy? Which habit reduced the most friction? Which habit could I continue for the next month without resentment? Keep the answer to the 3rd question, even if it seems small, especially if it seems small. The core lesson is not that one culture has discovered a perfect body, it is that ordinary systems shape ordinary outcomes. Smaller meals reduce the need for heroic restriction. Built-in walking reduces the need for constant motivation. Daily mobility protects movements you do not want to lose. Morning light and evening calm give your body clearer signals, and Kaizen turns change from a dramatic event into a repeatable pattern. A punishing plan asks you to fight yourself. A thoughtful system makes cooperation easier. Tonight, choose your recovery anchor, put the phone where you cannot reach it from bed, prepare a warm shower, and give the day a clear ending. Tomorrow, begin with light, water, and 5 minutes of movement before the noise arrives. Which of the 8 habits would make the biggest difference in your life right now? Tell me the number in the comments and say what usually gets in the way. If this video gave you a practical idea you can use, like it and subscribe to the Japanese Reset for more Japanese-inspired systems for calmer, healthier, everyday living. Share it with someone over 50 who's tired of extreme plans and needs a gentler system that can actually last. Small habits do not look powerful while you're doing them. Their power appears in the life they quietly help you keep.